Welcome to the Bernhard Neumann podcast. Every 2 weeks, I interview leaders, experts in the spaces of Web3, AI, crypto, and all the interesting things we find in this fast-moving world. And so today, I'm here with a really special guest. It's Roy Bhasin.
Bhasin,
Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Roy Bhasin. And why I'm so hesitant with pronouncing it right? Because everyone knows you as Zeneca. That's your handle. Maybe a little later we go into detail why that comes.
Yeah.
And Roy is one of the biggest influencers in the Web3 NFT space. He has just for some magnitude here, he has like 375,000 followers on Twitter, which is quite a large following. And he's also the founder and CEO of the project, the startup Zenacademy, and also the
333 Club.
333 Club.
It's a mouthful, yeah.
Sounds good. And so a warm welcome, Roy.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
Very cool. So Roy is a special person in many ways, and one of which everyone, I think, likes to talk about because it's so interesting, the past. In this case, you've been a professional poker player.
Yes. So basically, I got into crypto properly in like early 2021. And prior to that, from about 2005 up until then, I was a professional poker player. That's kind of went from like high school to that. I did university for a while, but it didn't stick. And did like 15, 16 years of poker and then got into this whole space.
Is this living the dream for a high school kid?
Oh, yes. Like as a whole, like for the 15 years, I was like, there were ups and downs. But when I was 17, it was the dream because, I was able to make, a few $100s a week, which was huge money in high school. And then, 17, 18, and turned into a few thousand a month. And then it's just like still living at home, my parents, and just I felt on top of the world. And
You must have been the cool kid then.
In some ways, yeah. I was never the cool kid, but like I think it's an interesting thing, right? To be able to play poker and make money at that age. It was like always a really good conversation starter, icebreaker.
Yeah.
People are very interested in it all the time. Yeah.
For sure. And then, so your entry into this whole world of Web3 crypto was crypto itself? Was it the speculation around it?
Pretty much. So like 2011 is when I first heard about crypto and Bitcoin.
Oh, that's nice.
I didn't buy any, unfortunately. But actually, the U.S. government in 2011 effectively made online poker illegal in the U.S. So people who were playing couldn't play from the U.S. anymore. But then Bitcoin was a thing. So someone created a Bitcoin online poker site. And then a lot of poker players are playing in Bitcoin. I think it was one of the first use cases for crypto, aside from like sending money and probably drugs.
Yeah.
It was online poker. And so I heard about it, but because I was living in Australia, I just played regular, US dollar currency games. But then 2017, I had some friends, or one friend in particular, Jamie, who asked me if I heard about Ethereum and knew what this was and some new type of cryptocurrency. And so together we kind of got into the space with Ethereum and then learning, that was 2017, there was 1 million coins and tokens and speculation, and the goal was to like invest and make money, but I found it interesting, just not interesting enough at that time to like stay when the 2018 bear market hit. I threw up my hands and I was like, it was a good experiment. Let's go back to poker though.
So interesting. I never heard this aspect of poker and Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So I just know online poker where it's this nice platform and you send your credit card or whatnot, and you have your amount on your account. Account balance, exactly. How did they work it out with Bitcoin back then?
I think exactly the same. So instead of, you would use a credit card or you bank transfer or send money there, you send a Bitcoin transaction. And then after, a few confirmations, maybe it takes 40 minutes, an hour, they say, okay, this account has this much Bitcoin. You can still do it today. There are sites that allow you to do it. And then you just have the same balance and you win and lose. Then when you want to withdraw, again, you give them the address you want to withdraw to, and then they send it right back to you.
Interesting. That was far ahead of its time. And
it really was.
Probably does take Degenerates also like poker players to believe it, right?
Yeah. Well, so two things. Yeah, definitely degenerates. Poker players are degenerates and very risk tolerant. So crypto, Bitcoin, very risky. So you're already gambling, playing poker. And then the currency, like US dollar is relatively stable. The Bitcoin, one day it could have, I don't know what it was back then. One day it's worth $1, next day it's worth 10 cents, next day it's worth $10. It's like the fluctuations were just amplified. But I think people into poker, especially like the professionals who I think were a little more inclined to play on a Bitcoin website, are like very used to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And then at some point you decided to leave poker behind a little bit maybe actually a lot to leave it behind.
Completely, yeah.
And go into the Web3 NFT space.
Yeah.
What triggered that?
So I was already like kind of over poker for the last like 5 years, because 15 years is a very long time. And I knew even since like the very beginning that I didn't want to do it sort of the rest of my life. I didn't want to be 50 and still professional poker players. Like I wanted to try new things, do other things, and that wasn't the life that I wanted forever. The thing is, I just never knew what my next thing was, and like I didn't go to university, I didn't have skills, I didn't have business experience or anything like that. And back in like 2016, I actually went back to law school, 2016, 17. And so I did that for like a year and a bit, and then I hated that. It was fun for the first 6 months, and then it was like, yeah, not for me. So I was always trying to think, and then, I was still playing poker because I didn't have anything else. And then 2021 rolls around, and like my friends are telling me about crypto again. I see prices are going up, and I started to check it out. And like, there's NFTs, there's DeFi, there's all this stuff that's been, you can actually use this stuff. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. This is it. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to go all in.
Mm-hmm. And you did go all in. And how was it like looking back there? Like for me, it would be interesting to understand how you got like all the attention and how you got so big, and how was it to be in the middle and at the top of this kind of craziness, like
wild. Surreal is the only word. So, it was, at the beginning when I was getting in, I didn't know what I was doing. I was losing money. I was buying things, rug pulls, losing money on gas, figuring it all out. And then, the market started going really, really crazy. And I had a newsletter that I'd started because I like writing. I've always liked writing. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I learn best if I have to write about it. And so because I think basically no one else was creating NFT specific content at the time, I had my newsletter. I was writing like Twitter threads with daily updates, and the whole space was blowing up. So it was just like everyone just started following me, and it just went absolutely crazy.
Was this then, did you say, okay, this is going to be my occupation? Like, did you take it on like this, or did it more like kind of happen? Not like, now everyone is a content creator.
Yeah, I never thought of myself. I never set out to be a content creator. I never planned to be a content creator, a writer, a business owner, and none of that was planned. I was just obsessed with NFTs, honestly. And I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. I want to write about it. Oh, people are following me. Oh, that's cool. That's nice. I had no idea where it would go, but eventually I've just figured it out as time went on.
What were some of the crazier offers you got? So obviously your DMs are then flooded. Hey, shill my project. Yeah. And like, was there someone, hey, I'm going to buy you a house?
I think, so I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure someone offered like $500,000 to like shill some random thing.
No way.
Yeah, that was probably the craziest. This is like peak bull, where I would tweet and a collection would mint out. So,
yeah. It's kind of strange to have that kind of power, huh?
Incredibly strange. Like I remember there was a because it happened very quickly for me. So like I started my account in like March. I only really started creating content in June, and then by like August I had like 100,000 followers or something crazy like that. Maybe November. And yeah, the power was just unusual because it was in multiple areas. It's like on the one hand, if I tweet a link to mint a project, it would mint out. And it's like, that is not good for one person to have that ability. And so I had to be very careful. Even if I mentioned a project, sometimes it would. So I was very careful. And even then, I probably would do some things differently. But for the most part, I think I navigated it okay. And then at a certain point, I got scared to say anything, because then I was like, I didn't want, to influence things that much. But then there's the flip side, where it's also like, they're just random things. It's like a superpower having that many followers on a social media platform. Because let's say, I remember this one incident, I was looking for a new beard trim. I actually need to trim my beard now. And I was like, I don't know, I could Google it, but let me just tweet it. And then there's just 100 responses. And I was like, okay, let me just research. Oh, this one's great. Everyone says And then there's like, it's just like, you can just poll the world in a really interesting way. So there's a lot of, just benefits to having a lot of followers. There's drawbacks as well. You're under a spotlight, and, you know, you need to be very careful with what you say and all that kind of stuff. But I would say so far the good outweighs the bad.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So at some point, you thought, hey, let's do an own project, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so that was pretty early on as well. I think around July 2021, I started thinking about, oh, should I maybe do my own collection? Should I do my own business? Should I do my own project? What should I do? And I had the idea for Zenacademy back then. I was like, well, I've just gone through a few months of learning about all of this, and it was so difficult and so crazy, and I didn't know what to do. And then there's no really good resources, especially back then. There wasn't like really good spots to go to learn about crypto and NFTs and especially NFTs. And so I thought, well, maybe what if I can create a community, a website, a place where everyone can go and all the education is there. And I got very excited by the idea. And it was like going to be like a one-stop shop. I was like, all right, if someone has a friend, they're getting into this, just go to Zenacademy. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, well, this is actually such a huge job, because it's not just creating the content, it's keeping it updated, because every day it changes. Every week there's new security things, there's new wallets, there's new marketplaces and it's always changing. And so I thought, okay, maybe I put a pin in it. I was like, all right, I don't want to do that. That's too much work. That's too much. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, my newsletter, my podcast, my Twitter threads, and that's it. And then in around September, October, I was planning to go to America for Art Blocks, Marfa, and there was another NFT NYC, I think maybe was around then, another event. But it was in the time when, it was still during COVID lockdown restrictions, so I couldn't travel. So then I was like, oh, well, now I have a whole month that I'd sort of planned to be traveling for.
Okay.
Maybe I revisit this idea of Zenacademy. But instead of like going to be like this full-fledged one-stop shop platform where they're everything, I was like, let me just start with like a Discord server, a community with a focus on education, and just see where it goes. Because I was like, I don't want to promise all this stuff. It was also at a time where everyone was promising a metaverse, a game, PFP, a roadmap, the world, a token.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I literally very under-promised, I was like, let me say, it's an experiment, relatively low mint price for this open edition membership token, basically. And we'll see where it goes. And then the last 18 months has been seeing where it's gone.
Yeah, it was very successful. I'm not sure if I was a minter, but very early got into it. Lots of family. I loved the approach, and it really was missing. Like, there was no education, like where people would go to actually dive deeper and learn. It was so much about just the hype, the money, and things going up or down. And so that's really cool. So what's the Zenacademy in your mind right now?
So it's changed a lot. So ironically, or maybe not, it's like where we are now is very close to where we were 18 months ago. So we started out, I had my newsletter, I had a Discord, and I was like, that was all going well, and I was very focused on that. And then after we minted out, I was like, well, probably need some help in the Discord, get some moderators, community managers, build out the rest of the team and develop more content, more different products and initiatives. And we've done so much. We had different courses, video courses, email courses, multiple newsletters, different podcasts, Twitter spaces, IRL events. You just got all this stuff. And what I realized after a while is that most of that stuff didn't really move the needle that much. Like, I'm very proud of a lot of what we do. We had ebooks and guides and all this stuff that helped, but it sort of like fractured the community and fractured my attention and the team's attention. And we've always said we're like the place for anyone, anywhere, at any level to learn about like NFTs and Web3 and crypto. And at the beginning, it was very beginner focused. And then as the people in the community got more experience, we did more advanced stuff and for founders, but it was very all over the place. And so what we've done over the last 2-3 months is we've actually, and this is bear market thing as well, we had to scale the team size back to make a smaller team. We had to drop a lot of the initiatives that we'd started that were like half-baked, half-good ideas, some partnerships. And really, I'm trying to make it all the way back to like where we were in the beginning, where it's like me creating content, my newsletter, and then having the Discord to engage around that content and, explore. And it's about like the latest stuff in the space. So like keeping people educated about the newest things, because at this point, there's enough content out there about how to set up a wallet, where to store your seed phrase, and what is an NFT and what is crypto and blockchain. There's like 1,000 places doing that content. there aren't as many good avenues, I think, to be like, all right, ordinals are now popping off. Let's dig into that and understand why maybe we should pay attention to ordinals and what are the resources there, or new ETH protocols comes out like wallets, and like let's dig into that and educate the community. So it's kind of changed, and honestly, it's back to where we were.
Yeah, I love it. Like it's a very normal course for a startup, right? To pivot to try to find product market fit. Okay, this is blow it up a little bit, and then go back to the basics, or what really is needed, what really solves the problem, right?
Especially, I mean, for me, this is my first company startup, and it's also like I've never worked in a company, I've never worked in a team, I've never worked for anyone or had anyone work for me. I've always been like solo, so it's been a really excellent learning experience. But what I realized is I've discovered a lot of things that I'm not good at.
Okay.
But it was fun, and like some people are really good at project management and operations and all these things, and I'm just not. I have different skills, and so I will hire people I have to handle that, where I can do what I like doing and better at, which is the writing and the content and the engagement. Yeah.
What's the business model of Zenacademy these days? Like, since it's a startup, there's some money, revenue involved. How do you think about that?
So it's evolved a lot as well. In the early days, it was kind of royalties were the big thing in the Web3 space, but about almost a year ago now, probably a year ago, June last year, is when I wrote a newsletter on royalties, and it sort of like seemed like they were going away, or it wasn't likely to be a sustainable business model for long term. And so that's when we started thinking about, all right, where are we going to generate our revenue from? And probably had like 5-6 different ideas. And I think our mistake was we tried all of them at the same time. We thought there's consulting, and consulting revenue is good. There's sponsorships, because we had a lot of content and media. There's affiliate links, again, with that. There's paid subscription models for, again, different types of content and services. There are still royalties, a small element there. And we just tried all these different things. And I think what I realized is that, again, it's better to pick one and just do that really good. And so where we are now is the focus is really on like my newsletter and turning that into a product, where in the past, I've never monetized it. In the past, it was like, I'll write when I want to write, and like maybe 2 a week, and then maybe like 7 weeks will go by without a newsletter. And it's very inconsistent. Now I'm trying to every week on a Tuesday put out a new thing, and eventually get to like maybe twice a week, where one is free, one is paid, monetize that. And we still have some royalty revenue coming in and some consulting revenue, but like that I think is the main product. And I think it's really simple, clear, easy to understand use case that works. It's proven. There's a lot of paid content out there.
Love it. And you know what, when you were talking, it made me also think how much I love the transparency, honesty of Web3 people. Like I'm not sure, like if I had some founder of some startup, like, oh yeah, didn't work, tried it, but the spirit of Web3 is really this transparency and figuring it all out together, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
How far have we come in figuring it all out together? Like, what's your perspective on the Web3 space right now?
I think we're in a good spot. Like, I think that 2021 was absolutely crazy, and even a lot of 2022 with a lot of speculation, and that's all of crypto, but it was especially crazy. And now we've been in this prolonged bear market where a lot of the speculators and the grifters and the people have just kind of like been washed out of the space. And the people that are left, it's by and large like a really strong, much smaller group, but a tight-knit group. And we know like what we want and like and what we don't like as well. So we're sort of seeing this with ordinals right now, which are basically NFTs on Bitcoin, where it's like a relatively new thing and the community is small and just forming. And over the last few weeks, they've gotten like a lot more attention and hype, and more people are there. And a lot of like the people from the ETH side are now going, oh, let's look into them. Maybe we'll launch a project there. And there's been instances where they're trying to like sell out a project, but it hasn't been successful because people are a lot more critical, and we've learned from our mistakes. And they're like, well, why should we pay you, $300,000 if you mint out, or 500? What are you going to do? Are you worth it? Is this something that's been working on for a while? It's interesting. And I think a lot of people are a lot more like critical and skeptical, which I think is really good. And the projects that are getting attention more and more now are the ones of substance, and not the ones that are just, just anonymous founders in 3 weeks launch a project and try and mint out. In 2021 that worked. Now it doesn't so much.
I'd be very interested. What makes a good NFT project for you right now? This in June 2023. Like, what boxes does it have to check? What do you look?
Yeah, there aren't. To me, it's like, are you using the technology in a way that improves the thing you're trying to do? And I think it's something that when I'm doing the consulting or advising, or like have a very first call with someone who's looking for consulting or advising, a lot of the time they'll tell me what they're trying to do, and I'm like, well, might this not be better without the NFTs?
Yeah.
Just forget the Web3 part, and like you've got it. It's a cool idea, but it overcomplicates things. Onboarding users to use a wallet or adding token gating. It's just additional. It's very cool and exciting, and I think the future in 5-10 years, everyone will be a lot more used to it. But right now, a lot of projects don't need NFTs. So like the ones that excite me are where they're using it in an interesting way, where it's kind of makes sense. And yeah, it's basically it.
Yeah, I think you have to look at it that way, probably. Like, to me, it's like, does the Web3 space need more projects? Like, does it need the next kangaroos?
Probably not. So like the whole PFP craze was crazy. It really was, and still is. I think that by and large, the business model for most of those is digital membership clubs, right? We have golf clubs, country clubs, social clubs where people in the real world will go and spend money. And usually it's most of the value comes from the connections and the network. And, there's golf clubs that have tens of thousands, like $100,000 a year memberships. It's not because that costs that much to play some golf. It's because the people that are there and some of the events and the connections you make. Same for a lot of the other things, where I think it's similar to online, where now we're just bringing that model into the digital world. But we don't need 1,000 of those. There's a handful that will probably make sense and survive. Some of them are going the IP route, and I think that's interesting. But yeah, I don't think we need more of those types of things really at this point. But the things that also excite me, I think, are like getting back to basics, like art and collectibles. I think those are the two basic first use cases of NFT technology. And I think that art especially is, like, to me, a very perfect use case. Digital digital artists being able to sell their work, collectors being able to collect from artists all around the world. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes also a lot of sense to me as well. You've been always also in generative art, right?
It makes even more sense to me.
Makes even more sense to you. There's been a really big sale lately of this ringer, the goose. 6 million. 6 million. Yeah. But it did come from within the space, right? Like, it wasn't like the buyer was Jeff Bezos. It was someone that had a lot of ETH within the space. Yeah. But still, we see it more and more on Sotheby's and all this stuff. Yeah. And it just, it's the future, and that's pretty exciting because it's a good use case. How do you see Web3 evolving? Like, do we just need more good use cases and stack them on top of each other, where at some point, let's integrate this Web3 into our Web2 because it just has so many good products that we already use? Or is there's something else you think needs to happen for this to go? We always say mainstream, whatever that means, but
I don't think we necessarily need more use. There are some really excellent use cases out there. The problem is the difficulty of using them. We always talk about, like, onboarding. We need to onboard people. At Zenacademy, we've onboarded a lot of people, but we can't go mainstream if we have to onboard people. I think that those are two. Like, no one really today needs to be onboarded to the internet. If you live in the 70% of the world that has access to the internet, by and large, you know how to use the internet. You know how to use a computer, a phone, a laptop, all these technologies that are, 30 years ago, you need to be onboarded to use. 20 years ago, I had to teach, elder relatives how to use a computer, how to use a mouse and a keyboard and the internet. But now it's like, it's there. It's embedded into society and culture. We need to get to that point with this new layer. And it was probably the same. I was 20-ish, 18, 20, when, like, Web 2 was happening. So, like, 2006 to 2010, where social media and Facebook and Twitter, and, like, there was a bit of a learning curve, understanding, but it was made pretty easy. We need that for Web 3. And so, like, when it's easy enough to use download an app on your phone or comes with an app, and everyone just knows how to, a token gate, this my favorite brand, I have an NFT, or I bought a physical pair of sneakers and I got a digital one, I can take them to Metaverse. We just need the user experience to be seamless. That's the biggest thing. I think like the use cases are there. There's going to be more use cases. It's inevitable. It's just like we need to make it easier for people to use.
What gives you this conviction that it's inevitable? Like for example, for me, like always, I mean, I'm a big Web3 guy, but I try to question myself, hey, because there's so many people that say, hey, this is bullshit. Nobody needs Web3. Like, what gives you conviction that Web3 is gonna prevail and be part of the internet of the future, or
two things. One is Apple Vision Pro, or just like every I don't know, every now and then, 6 months, 12 months, you'll see a product or a company, a massive company in the world, come out with, or Fortnite is another good example, where it is very clear and obvious, I think, to basically everyone in the world. No one will argue this. Our lives are becoming more digital. We're spending more time in the digital world, behind our phones, behind computers, soon to be AR, VR. That's where we're headed. And it's just, that to me is inevitable. And so Web3, just the next iteration, there's a whole conversation we had of like, what is the definition of Web3? But let's say, blockchain technology, which is a layer of the internet or connected to the internet. To me, as long as our lives get more digital, it will always have a potential place. And so the reason why I think there is a place for it is because it is more efficient, is probably the hard, and not, for many use cases right now, it is not more efficient, but it has the potential to be more efficient because it eliminates the middleman, it just reduces friction, reduces the need for fees and things like that. And if we get it all the way back to like the basic example of what Bitcoin was designed for, electronic cash, sending money peer-to-peer, person-to-person, all around the world. In the past, you've had to go via a bank or an intermediary, Western Union. Now there's better options like Wise or Revolut, but still, you go through them, you pay them a percentage. With Bitcoin or ETH or cryptocurrency, it's just, I can like pay people anywhere in the world directly to their wallet. There's no transaction fees. Yes, there's transaction fees there's a small gas fees, but I think those are being improved and solved. But like, yes, there's fees when people have to withdraw, like take the Bitcoin and remove it into US dollars or euros or something. But more and more people are accepting crypto as that's the biggest thing to me for adoption. Like I pay, one of our lawyers, we pay in ETH. Okay. Rachel and I, we've just started, we got a personal trainer who's virtually based in Italy, and he put together a system, and like once or twice a week, he accepts payment in ETH. So it's like more and more people that accept payment in crypto make the use case even better. And I think that, to me, it's just, another example is like if you're buying a house, you have to put the money in escrow, right? And usually if it's a $500,000 house, $5,000 is spent on this third-party escrow service that just holds the money and holds the deed to the house and then makes sure that the people get it. That can be done by a smart contract. Yeah. And that's $5,000 that's back in the pockets of the people transacting. It's more efficient to me.
I got really excited just now. Very cool. Love it. And it's so funny when you were talking, like it's so permissionless, right? Like crypto, that's so cool. Like I can totally see it. Hey, no, you don't need a bank account for whatever reason the bank didn't give you one. Here is crypto. And so it's a strange thing right now where it's so permissionless, but so many hurdles on the other side, right? Yeah. Like so much friction. Yeah. No permission needed, but a lot of friction right now. And once we reduce the friction, there's a really nice free flow.
I think so. There's the whole other conversation about like independence from government and government, not anonymity, but like self-sovereignty, where, a lot of our transactions with like traditional banking systems, they're tracked by governments. They can, in theory and in practice in many countries around the world, seize funds, lock it down. We're fortunate being in Germany or Australia or US, where at the moment we trust our governments not to overstep and seize our assets. But in other countries in the world where the governments are more authoritarian or dictatorships, or for whatever reason, they have in the past stepped in and been like, okay, now you all the banks, then now your assets are ours. Or, there's a freeze, or there's, we're changing the rules of the currency, and there's hyperinflation. And it's just sort of, it brings the power and control back into the hands of individuals, which again, I think that obviously there's plus sides to government and like regulation and safety and security, and there's, all anti-money laundering and crime and stuff like that, anti-terrorism. But there's also a really strong case for the ability to have full sovereignty and ownership of your assets without relying on a bank or a government or something else.
Totally. I think having this option is really cool because, I mean, when you think, obviously, the power structures, people in power, they don't want to lose this power, but it's also very interesting to observe, right? Like, for some reason, Europe, I think, is more open to this concept, as the US is clearly closing right now, at least one person. Jerry Chancellor, we don't like you.
Yeah.
But really, really cool. So many aspects. So one last thing on this topic before we move on. You as an advisor, as even an investor in Web3 companies, you have like this unique insight. Like what kind of trends do you see, and where do you see this heading? Like, we're in this bear market. Is everyone waiting for the next bull market, or is it more like, hey, we're building this anyways, or we actually see some traction here?
It varies a lot.
Yeah.
I think a lot of companies that started in 2021 are going through a similar phase to what we did in Zenacademy, where it's like, maybe pivoting, refining product market fit, what maybe made sense and worked then doesn't make sense and work now. And so it's just adjusting to the new market conditions. But there are some companies, especially the ones building like infrastructure, that are, heads down building, business as usual. Some of them are even thriving. There's one company I invested in, Quadrata, and they do like on-chain passport, basically, where you can KYC. But let's say you have to KYC with, a massive centralized exchange, but you don't want that exchange to hold your information or data. They've designed some clever way using cryptographic proof and technology where you can prove that a wallet is KYC'd, but without that like centralized entity having access to the data. And so they're kind of thriving right now because there's a lot of, push for KYC and like, especially, companies trying to get more legitimate, in US especially. So they're doing very well right now, but a lot of other companies that are predicated on, if they were building like a new wallet for crypto, for instance, then they're struggling or a new marketplace for most instances, because there's just less demand and activity. So it really depends on the company. It's the whole spectrum. Yeah.
No, but what do you see as one of the mistakes you see the most Web3 projects or companies are making these days? Is there something that just occurs quite often? You say, hey, come on, let's move on from that?
Yeah, there's a lot. I think not having a clear source of revenue or way to make money. Like, there's a lot of really cool ideas. Like, hey, let's build this app on your phone that does, 8 different things. It's like, that's great, but how are you going to make money, and how are you going to compete with the others? And, finding that product market fit and, making it easy to use, I think, is another big one. A lot of people have a lot of really cool ideas, but then it doesn't really make sense to how you get there. At the end of the day, I think, and this is, again, something I learned at Zenacademy and feel strongly about now, is like keeping it as simple as possible and doing one thing really, really well is going to do so much better than trying to make one app that does everything.
Very cool. Okay, I would like to talk a little bit about Dubai. You moved there recently. You moved from Munich, Germany, where we're right now, and you moved to Dubai. And why did you move there?
A few reasons, but I think tax is a big part. Like, the tax rules are very favorable for personal tax, professional tax, company tax. But also it's a hub for like crypto, blockchain in general, people, Web3, NFTs, also AI now. It's just the government is very friendly towards this kind of stuff. So it's attracting a lot of cool and interesting people. And the other reason is that, like, we're eventually planning to go home to Australia, and it's kind of like a nice in-between stuff.
Yeah. Slowly moving back.
Yeah.
So is it true? Like, obviously there's lots of marketing PR around the concept. Hey, this is the new hub for Web3, for crypto. Come here, everyone. How does it feel for you on a daily basis, or actually living there? Is that
Yeah,
your
very
experience?
true. Very true. It's just like more and more, especially like I've been there since January, so 5-6 months now, but just more people moving there and more people I talk to, even online or at conferences. And like I realize, oh, you're in Dubai as well. And then when I'm there, like meeting up with people every week, it's just, it really is becoming a hub. More people and companies like Consensus, I'm pretty sure just started a company there. They're behind MetaMask, and they're moving, I think, 100 of the team members out there or something like that. So yeah, it's just more every week. It seems like more people move there.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I've been to Silicon Valley, but I never lived there. Is that like, how does it feel on a daily basis? How does it change your way of going about your business of living in Dubai?
It probably doesn't change it that much on a daily basis. Like I've not been to Silicon Valley, but like Dubai is obviously much larger. Yeah, it's not like specifically for like tech companies or crypto or NFT, AI. But it's like if any day or any week I want to meet someone interesting from the space, it's very easy to do. Or go to like a meetup. There's several like weekly meetups from within the community. You just go hang out, connect, network, have fun. There's a lot of conferences there, a lot of events. So it's just sort of, it's kind of like for me day to day, obviously I work from home. I have like a lot of my stuff is online. And so that doesn't change too much, but it's when I want to go out and meet people, interesting people, it's just a lot easier to do in Dubai. Like there's hundreds, if not thousands, of interesting people from the space there, versus virtually any other city in the world. I would think, even if you look at somewhere like Florida or somewhere in like Silicon Valley or LA, New York, London, Lisbon, it's just like they're hubs and there's quite a lot of people, but I feel like Dubai is like another scale.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
To round this out, like I would love to understand what's so you're one of the top influencers in Web3, and so what's your daily life like? Like obviously many people want your time and hey, shine a light on us, or also can you help us further the space or something? Like what does your day look like? Like
yeah, I don't have an average day anymore, or at least at the moment. And it's changing as well because of where the pivot of the company and where I'm trying to direct my time. So these days, what I try and do is limit my number of meetings and calls and do as few of that as possible. It used to be like I would be in calls for 12 hours a day and it was chaotic and crazy and not really sensible. Now, maybe, Monday to Friday, I'll have 1 to 3 hours of calls a day, hopefully less, some days none. I'll do a lot of just reading and research. So like I spend a bunch of time on Twitter. I spend time in Discords, reading other newsletters, researching articles and things like that. And then hanging out in my Discord server, chatting with people and writing my newsletter. That's kind of the bulk of it. And yeah, some consulting calls and things like that.
Do you see most of the traffic, the interest still coming from the US, or like is it getting more global, or what's your feel there?
It's still like the US is still the largest market, I think, but it's not a majority market. I'd say it might be like 30 to 50% US and then like, 15 to 70% rest of the world. So there's a lot of interest from all around, which is awesome to see.
Yeah. Any new ones coming up on your radar, like maybe India also?
India is definitely taking off a lot more now. And like I would say compared to 2 years ago when I was getting in, there was a lot of just unsureness from India and people in India. But now more and more I talk to people that are from there getting into it. But actually what I hear a lot of is like people from India moving to Dubai because it's, it's like a 3-hour flight from certain parts of India to Dubai. And so it's like a lot of people, set up a company there and go back and forth or go live in Dubai for 6 months in India. And so, yeah.
Cool. Last time we talked was just before you moved, and we talked a long time about AI. And you've been diving deep into it for quite a while now, right? What do you see there? What excites you? And maybe also this thing where people always want to bring Web3 and AI together. Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, AI is obviously last 6-9 months gone ballistic. ChatGPT, I think they crossed 170 million users recently, which is a lot, even they've been out for less than a year. I think AI is is just changing our lives in ways that we can't even fathom yet. And it's less in vogue right now. I think like the hype was a few months back, and now it's like more companies are slowly unrolling AI products and AI things into their products. I think like there's two different ways. One is like me personally, and like most people on the like practical sense, and how are we using it. And I think more and more I find myself relying on AI more and more for like, if I have questions, or if ChatGPT is such a great resource. I know others who are more in design or work with images. They use like the whether it's Midjourney or Photoshop's new tool, or really all of the tools now have AI. So it's just like more and more people are using it in their daily lives in a practical sense. And I think that's inevitable and will just keep happening more and more and more. But then there's the other, like the macro view of like, what does this mean for us? What does this mean for humanity? And not just Web3, but like all of us. And I think it's the next 5-10 years are going to be impossible to predict. It's going to change our lives. I think maybe it's 20 years, maybe it's, but there's the future is, I think AI has changed everything forever. And I think that, honestly, I feel like we're at the end of our evolution of like Homo sapiens is like, we've had a good run, but we can't, we're already so reliant on technology. We're already like a human plus a smartphone is just almost always going to outperform a human without a smartphone in virtually, in many areas, not all, especially physical labor and things like that.
Running, you're a little faster without.
Yes. But now as we get to AI with robotics, a robot is going to run so much faster. And so I think we're at a point now where it's not going to slow down. Our lives, we just like merge with machine. Like we already walk around with AirPods. We already spend so much time behind the screen. Soon we're going to have the screens here with Apple Vision Pro, and we're just going to be part human, part machine. And then eventually the human part won't be there, because machines are, they don't need to eat, they don't need to sleep. They surely have, other requirements to maintain themselves, but that they aren't as susceptible to so many other things, disease and the different types of viruses. But it's just, they're just better than us in so many ways. We have so many drawbacks, and so I think as time goes on, it's just like, all right, we've had a good run, and the species evolves, and we've played a role in our evolution, and
Yeah, really interesting thought. Like, it makes, you always see this, in my mind, at least there's this, like from the monkey type, and it
setting up. Yeah.
And so maybe there's something added to it in the future. Right?
Yeah. So like there's that one, and then it's like there's sometimes you go up to like a standing monkey, and then you go down to like behind a computer. And then I think you just take the human out of it, and then it's just like it turns into a box and then a robot, and it's just like,
makes sense to me. I mean, obviously, like many people are concerned about it. Like we understand that for some artificial life form, it might not make sense to have humans around and destroy the world, and that do all the things humans do. We will see on that. But till then, how do you use AI in your daily life? Like,
honestly, not that much for how much I talk about it. I don't use it. I'll have ChatGPT. I'll use ChatGPT maybe like 3 or 5 days out of the week, and usually just random questions. And I think it's just a great resource for anything. For like, if you're trying to find something on the internet, it's great for that. If you want to learn about a particular topic, it's like you can ask it questions. But I'm still always a little skeptical. Like I still feel like we're at a point where ChatGPT says something, and you still need to go to Google and verify that it's accurate. So it's still not. I don't trust it 100%, and I don't know. There probably will get a point where I trust it pretty close to that, but we're not there yet.
How well does it work for Web3 NFT content?
Not great.
Not great.
Which is nice. My job is safe for now. Because it's so current and up to date, and it's not super good yet.
What's your vision, or like how do you see content in the age of AI? Since you're also a content creator, like how does that feed into it?
Yeah, that's another interesting thing. So basically AI makes content creation even easier. And I think that we're entering into an age of infinite, unlimited, good content. Probably not great or excellent content. I think the average level of content will increase, but I think there'll always be like those who human plus AI is better than just AI. Those who can curate it, at least for now. But what is going to happen, and we're already seeing happen, is like there's way more content creators, way more content, way more Twitter threads and newsletters and YouTube videos and all of that. And I think that it's going to make it more difficult for the mediocre content creators. It's going to create opportunities for people who can use AI to create content. But what I'm worried about is that all the content is going to be the same. It's like everyone's going to have the same. I feel like that's another thing I see happening is like our minds, our collective global mind is becoming one, where it used to be that everyone had opinions and you were in like much smaller little echo chambers and bubbles, and you could have completely independent thoughts pop up in rural Australia that weren't influenced by rural US or Africa. And now, because of the internet and how connected we are, someone has an idea, it goes viral, someone in Australia sees it, tells their friends, and we all, I think we're getting to a point where it'll just be one mind, one thought, and or maybe two, like there's two different opinions, but like fewer contrarian and fewer original thoughts as well, because people now, they just see things and are influenced from what they see online, and then they parrot it to their friends, and then they think about it, and often it's good content, but it's still like it's fewer original thoughts, and that's where we're headed, which is again, it also plays into like the end of our species.
Yeah, I love this thought. Really nice. Is there any solution to this, or is it probably just the way it's gonna go?
I haven't actually thought. I probably should think more about if there's a solution. So I think in the terms of like our evolution and AI taking over, I think that there's no real solution. I think it's inevitable. We can maybe slow it down, but it's like the wheels have been in motion for long enough that it's going in that direction. I think in terms of like the one-mindedness, I don't know. I think it would have to almost be like a movement where people, and there probably is one already, where people are trying to extricate themselves from like, I know a lot of people hate social media. I'm not even the biggest fan of it. So there's an anti-social media movement that's been happening for like the last 5-10 years really, where people like, they hate the echo chamber, they hate the algorithm, they hate how much our lives are dictated by that. And so as long as that maintained, that's like the counterpoint to where our lives are headed.
Yeah, I can see this distancing happening. I mean, I thought about it a lot too. So I think it's content will be much more around how we experience things and how it makes us feel. The one thing that AI doesn't cover is like, how does it feel to bite into this burger? What does it taste like? Is it nice? Does it remind me of my grandma's burger or something? And that's what we still can add as humans. Everything else, that will be a tough one. And also that's why I think physical events, we've been to a physical event yesterday of the Zenecademy, really cool, I think are gonna increase in popularity again and bring us maybe a little away from the tech and more to feeling the people.
I think so too, and I think that's great because that's like those physical events are so amazing. But the thing is that we've got that on the one hand, but then we've got everyone soon to be wearing Apple Vision Pro. It's like and I think that as much as a lot of people can be like, I'll never wear that, that's silly, we're never going to do that. I think that it's again kind of inevitable because more and more people will do it. It'll become more socially acceptable, just like having your phone out, looking at it, all that kind of stuff. The
$1 trillion question. I think we have a market cap of $1 trillion in crypto right now. Just above it, probably now since it's pumping. We don't mind. How do you see AI and Web3 and crypto intersect? Do you see any like necessary must intersection, or is it more wishful thinking right now from the Web3 space?
So the one necessary must I see, and I don't know if it's 100% necessary, the blockchain is the answer, but I think it's an excellent answer, is again, in the era of infinite content, we're also going to see infinite fake content. So videos of the president, the prime minister, whomever, leader of a country, celebrities, it's just like, or even humans, it's just, we can already feed an AI machine learning model all this content, and they can create a pretty good live video that looks pretty realistic, and certainly photos that look realistic. And we're going to see an infinite amount of that. and it's going to get better, and it's going to be indistinguishable from the human eye. Like, we won't be able to tell what's real and what's not. We'll hear someone talk, it'll be like, that is real. And so we need a way to distinguish, at least I think we do, what is genuine, what is coming from that actual human being, and what is not. And I think the blockchain provenance is like, that's such a key part of NFT technology and blockchain technology. And so the ability to prove who you are, your identity, and that a certain piece of content came from you or came from whomever you're looking for is critical. And I think it's going to be necessary at an increasing rate. And I think the blockchain is a really good solution to that. Whether there are other solutions that are easier and make more sense and will get more adopted, I'm not sure. But that, to me, is one use case that, honestly, I find it hard to believe that there's another solution that's not better than blockchain.
Yeah, like, I would love your thoughts on, so I was thinking, okay, is maybe blockchain, is it the DVD or the CD, and now we have an MP3, is there, like, what if something better than a blockchain comes out? I mean, it does solve the problem really well, and with all the stuff that it needs energy and actually effort to compute and all this stuff. Have you ever thought of this? So maybe this is just one step of the technological evolution of trying to do what the blockchain does?
Yeah, certainly possible. Like, I mean, it's hard to know what there might be in the future.
Yeah.
And I imagine that in 50, 100, 200 years, there will be something that builds off of the foundations of blockchain, or maybe improves or increases it. But I think it's closer to the internet than it is to CD, DVD. Like, CD, DVD, MP3, they're like standards and like products, and the internet is infrastructure. And I think it's closer to the internet than it is to DVD or CD. And I think that, like, we're improving the internet all the time. We're building things on top of the internet. We've got social media. We have new ways of communicating. We have a million things on top of the internet. And I think the same is happening with blockchain technology. And so, to me, it's too good. It just works. It makes sense. It does what it's meant to do. It's decentralized. It's secure. It's stable. There's a million ways to improve upon it. But I think the concept, if someone comes up with something better, that's amazing. But I find it hard that someone will be able to. And, like, people have been trying to for a decade plus, because of just how revolutionary it is. But I think that the concept of cryptographic blockchain proving signatures without a third party is just like, that is huge for humanity. And it's, yeah,
for sure. To round this out, thank you for your time already. Where do you see the Web3 NFT space going in the next month? Obviously, we cannot look too far in the future. Just what's your feel? Where are we going here? Where do you see us heading?
Business as usual. I think it's like kind of, well, I mean, it is meant to be a big month for the NFT space, because we're like ending June. I think Azuki has a big event in the next couple of days. Memeland has something coming out. DGods and Utes have a big, so in the NFT space specifically, I think it's like maybe a little more activity in the next week or two, but I think like largely for NFTs as a whole, I don't see anything significant changing in the next month. I think we're still in a bear market. People are adjusting to a new normal. Yeah, I don't see anything crazy happening.
Are you excited about Web3 gaming and all that?
I am. Probably not in the next month again. I think longer term, I think gaming, digital asset ownership is such a unique, like a good, makes sense use case of NFTs. I think we're a while away. And I think that a lot of the projects, like Web3 gaming is a huge term. It encompasses a lot. I think that the digital ownership of virtual assets part, to me, is the most exciting part. The whole play to earn part doesn't make that much sense to me anymore. It did for a little period.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't think like all games should have NFTs or be Web3 related, because I think that a lot of people play games to avoid thinking about money or stress or finances. And now all of a sudden, if you're playing a game and you get an item and now it's worth $10, but tomorrow it's worth $50 and then they're worth $2, it introduces all this stress that most people don't want. They just want to play a game to have some fun. And so, but I still think that, like, on the flip side to that, you have people spending thousands, tens of thousands of dollars of like Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, Fortnite skins and in-game items, and, you know, why not make those NFTs? That does make sense. If people are already willing to spend the money.
Yeah, since you came from poker, it made sense for you to combine money and gaming.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and same for me, I thought, okay, totally makes sense. Everyone would want to have their character, pay for it, and make money playing it. Turns out gamers just want a game.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So, I have at the end of the podcast, I usually have 2 questions I borrow from Tim Ferriss, the podcaster. And so one would be, what have you changed your mind about recently, about NFTs, Web3, maybe AI? Was there some shift that you had? You shared already one probably with the, maybe it's time for a new evolution of humanity and stuff, but anything else that comes to mind?
What have I changed my mind about recently?
Yeah, or where you had to rethink, okay, it doesn't work like that, or doesn't work like that anymore. It just...
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is the Zenacademy and the company. And like, I changed my mind about what I thought was right, the way to run it, how to run a business, all of that. I've just sort of like been learning over the last, year and a half. And now I'm sort of coming back to the reality that just keeping it simple is better than trying, and it's so obvious. I mean, people have said this for a long time, keep it simple, do one thing really well, but it's easy to get caught up in the, especially during a bull market, but even not, but it's like, oh, that's a cool idea, let's do it, let's try that. Yes, okay, saying yes to things, and now I'm just realizing the power and importance of keeping things streamlined. Yeah.
Very cool. Last question. If you had a really big billboard, it towers over Dubai now.
Yeah.
For you, you can put on a message on there for the people to see. Yeah. What would be that message? A short one in this case.
That's so much. I would say, don't fade AI. like just don't ignore AI. I think everyone is underestimating, or don't underestimate AI. I think I still think basically everyone is underestimating it. Even people in the space and who know about it, who use ChatGPT, I think it's going to change our lives in unimaginable ways. And I think most people aren't spending enough time thinking about it, preparing for it. Is your job going to exist in 7 years' time? What will you do? What will everyone do? What will anyone do? It's such a huge thing that's going to change everything about all of our lives. And I don't think it gets enough thought.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, actually. Yeah, I think it's underhyped. Where can people find you online? Where can we read your newsletter, find your Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter is just @Zeneca, Zeneca.
You need to tell us how you got that down. That couldn't have been easy because you started off with
Zeneca _33 was initially it. But no, it's just Emily, who's part of the team at Zenecademy. She knows someone who was working close to Twitter, and basically they were able to secure unused accounts. So that was very nice.
Really cool.
Yeah. That's the main place, my Twitter. And then in my Twitter bio, I have a link to my newsletter and to Zenacademy and 323. So go to my Twitter and everything kind of stems from there.
Very cool. Thank you so much for everything you do for the space and for being this voice of reason and also of, keeping people sane, really. And it's really true. I've read in the bull markets, I've read your newsletters, and it gave me that sense of, hey, come down. That's really helpful. And thanks for doing that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Very cool. Awesome.
That was really great.